You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
What's up, mateys? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I'm your host, J. Rod, and this is Pirate Central. First pitch topic. Ben Cherington is staying. So is the losing culture. Dare we say a prayer for the 2026 season now, or do we wait until spring training? Oh, guys, you just got to laugh about it at this point. There's no reason to be sad anymore. There's no reason to be discouraged. Anything negative, there's just no reason for it because that's just what it becomes now. It's just a circus for that organization. The owner, the president, the general manager, the ringmaster, the clown, and just a bunch of clowns. Somehow they all fit in that little car. They're the only ones in there, but it's a darn shame. It just is. And again, you're hearing these stories outside of Pittsburgh that some players are speaking out. Of course, I know Paul Skeens has put his 2 cents in. Everyone, of course, in the baseball world, the people that cover it and writing, of course, they're all saying about, get Paul Skeens out of Pittsburgh. We can't have that guy, be a part of this kind of culture. That he deserves to be with a winner. And the narrative just baffles me. It just baffles me how everyone keeps talking about how we need to get Paul Skeens out of Pittsburgh, where the narrative should really be, how do we get people to come to Pittsburgh? How do we get a team built around Paul Skeens when the organization doesn't do that? When the owner, the president, and the general manager all just collectively have this idea that you just sell some guys off, get the revenue share, and collect that paycheck. That is the whole operation in a nutshell. And having guys like Cherington be Bob Nutting's yes man, not really doing a whole lot to rattle the cage. He knows what the system that Nutting has created is all about, and he's on board. That's really what this is. It's about, if you even tried to bring someone else into this fold, who would want that? Who in the world would want to have to cater to this type of environment? And then you have to turn around and try to bring in players like, goodness gracious, you talk about being the ultimate salesman. That would be someone who could definitely earn their paycheck that week. To have players like come to Pittsburgh, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic experience because you're going to get a 1-year deal and it's not going to be a whole lot. And we're going to put you on this field with these bunch of guys who may or may not do something. And you may win and you may lose. Those are your 2 options. It could happen or not. Maybe. That's probably the best sales pitch you're going to probably find. There's no other way to spin that tale. It's the culture. It's the way they want to be. What more can there be said? If you look back through Ben Cherington's career in the world of baseball, I think if I read it correctly, he was hired by Boston in 1999. And I think he was born in the early 70s, so that made him probably around late 20s, mid or late 20s. And he was with them until I believe it was 2016. Like he had that entire tenure. So for about 15, 16 years, he did everything from scouting to it's like president of operations and player development. I can't make that up in the sense that all the things I've read, I'm like, really? This is what he started out at. And then he started getting co-general manager roles and responsibilities when Theo Epstein apparently wasn't available or whatever the story was. And then by, I want to say 2012, he finally got the gig to be the GM. And yeah, in 2013, the Boston Red Sox got a bunch of guys, and won the World Series in 2013. I believe Boston did, of course, 04, and then it was 07, and then it was 13. So they had won 3 World Series in the century at that time. And coincidentally, that year, Pirates, the first playoff appearance in 20 years. Yeah, they went to the 2013 playoffs, and the Red Sox were the team that won the World Series that year. Found that kind of ironic. And then I believe he was with them until 2015 or 2016, and then he moved on to Toronto, and he became the vice president of operations. I don't know exactly what the title was, but he did something of that nature until 2019, when Bob Nutting was forced to get rid of Neil Huntington and Clint Hurdle. And, you know, the rest of the story after that, Derek Shelton came in. He came with it. And in his tenure, you're looking at the one thing you could probably say that was right was the pitching. But actually, if you look at what we currently have as our building blocks with these guys, a majority of them are actually still Neil Huntington guys. Mitch Keller is a Neil Huntington guy. Braxton Ashcraft is a Neil Huntington guy. And so is, I just had his name. Mike Burrow. Yeah. They all were former Neil Huntington guys. He has nothing to do with them. And the only guy he can claim is Paul Skeens. Maybe Jared Jones. Maybe, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's those. So he has Jared Jones and Paul Skeens, 2 very impressive pitchers. But again, that's the one thing that Ben Cherington has always gotten right. He's always gotten the pitching side right. Hitting side. I mean, I think he's hit himself more on the head than I think has collected hitters. So you got Nick Gonzalez. I think that's it. The other name that might at one point have been something was O'Neal Cruz. It's not consistent, but Nick Gonzalez has been a fairly consistent hitter throughout his career. I think he has a lifetime average of around 265, 270. And that's great. That is exactly what you're looking for from a major league hitter. You can get around 260, 270. That is a great guy to have in your lineup. Means you're getting 1 out of 4 pretty much every night. So after that, yeah, I mean, the guys you have brought in, Jack Suwinski, you brought back Adam Frazier again, Tommy Pham. I know that they brought in Hoy Park from a trade, the player from the Rays. Yoshi Yatsugo, I think is how you say that last name. An interesting piece was probably Michael Chavis from the Red Sox. I know when we gave up, who did we give up for him? I know we acquired Chavis in the trade. That was an interesting pickup. I don't know if G1 Bay has always been in the organization. I think he has been. I don't remember when Connor Joe was in the mix. I know he was around 2012, 2013. So that was still a Neil Huntington thing, but they brought him back to the organization because they felt like they needed to right a wrong when they made him go to the Rockies, and the Rockies actually had some pretty decent years. And I think that he was a part of that playoff run. What was that, 2018 or 19 or something like that? And then he came in, I think, just after COVID and tried to make a run with us. And then, of course, the Tommy Pham, the Daniel Vogelbacks. Yeah, I mean, there have been some players that have made impacts at certain point. Rowdy Tellez. Yeah, there's been a handful of names that you go, yeah, that has been an interesting run, but what did it get you? You got 2 100-loss seasons after COVID. I mean, COVID was even worse. I mean, I think that was 13 and 48 or it was really bad. I know we only played 60, 70 games, but it was the worst winning percentage you could have pretty much gotten. If we weren't dead last, we were second to dead last. And then you had the 2023, 2024 years, back-to-back 76, 86 losses, and this year with 71 and 91 being worse. That was, hands down one of the most disappointing things you could have given us. With all the things you knew from 2023 when you acquired Paul Skeens, trying to build around him or not doing that at all. Yeah, I mean, the most impressive trade I think I can give Ben Cherington is probably, or pickup, I guess it wasn't really a trade, but in the offseason when they signed Aroldis Chapman to that 1 year, $10 million deal, I was blown away. I could not believe they brought him in and convinced him to come and play for Pittsburgh. And he was absolutely electric. I was never disappointed with Chapman. That was awesome. That was so great to know that they had something in there to be competitive with. And again, they were making a push in 2024. They were so close, getting around 500 in August, and you're another collapse, one of the worst ways to go. And that was, again, Paul Skeens' first year in the majors. Jared Jones coming up too, having the most surprising year. And again, all these names, you're just hearing a lot of positive things. It's always pitching. It's never hitting. These guys that they just fill in the roster and trying to make a lineup look interesting or, I guess, competitive. But there have always been these moments where it goes south because something wasn't complete. Something wasn't acquired. And of course, that's the job of the GM. And this is what we have to deal with. And right now we are now a week into, or maybe 2 weeks into the offseason. And what do you have? You have no news yet. Not really hearing any chirping that things will move on or improve. That's, again, what we're kind of expecting from this particular organization. There's really not more to say about that subject other than this is just who they want to be. They want to be a team that exists, kind of go through the motions. Again, just get the revenue share, get whatever they can for trades. That's really what they make money off. So there's really not a whole lot more to add to it other than it's important to try to think of what needs to be done and what we know will not be done. I mean, we know that we need at least 3 or 4 bats in the offseason at least to be competitive with the pitching that we have right now. It's right there ready, pitching-wise, to do something in terms of trying to do a playoff push. And, it's crazy to think how long it's been since the Pirates have won the division. It's not even a question of can they make the playoffs. That's really what a lot of teams try to achieve. They want to actually win the division so they don't have to worry about the whole playoff push or, run, anything of that. But it's you have the minds that they have in the NL Central, and the Reds have improved a whole lot. They got a new manager. They made the playoffs. They have some really well put together rotation lineup. They have made some smart moves. The Cubs, they are an organization that is rich. They definitely have a lot of payroll. They always have the market. It's just a great atmosphere at Wrigley every season. No matter what the losing season has always been, they've had the ability to bring in people because the attraction is Chicago, and it's not difficult to make people want to like Chicago. But the Milwaukee Brewers, one of the most unique stories probably of any franchise in any sports, because it's in Wisconsin. They have the Green Bay Packers. I'm just saying, the appeal, I'm sure Wisconsin's a wonderful place. I'm not saying there's no appeal to it whatsoever, but by the nature of, why you bring people in, it's this is not as flashy as the city. It's not that kind of an environment, but they bring in players. They bring in these amazing talents. They have great lineups and they have good bats. Everyone who is a part of the organization is just so buttoned up, and they know how to make that a baseball town. And Milwaukee has, for 3 or 4 years in the last 10 years, they have just been competitive, always being in the conversation. And again, a stem from the GM. Matt Arnold, who was the guy who we could have gotten over Cherington. It was between the two men. It's always that what could have been. And that's what we have right now, folks. what we know is that we need to have all these things happen. But again, who knows how long it's going to take for the Cardinals to finally get back into the swing of things, because the Cardinals are just as a rich organization as the Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs. Like they have their traditions. They've been a premier team for decades. It's a very long going tradition that the Cardinals be relevant. And Pete Alonso just went on the market after the Mets, didn't make the playoffs. So it's like, I'm just kind of feeling that thing that Pete will be a Cardinal, and all of a sudden they'll build what many years he has left in baseball, and they'll give him a huge contract and they'll make a push. And it's like, now here we are at fifth place once again. In terms of on paper, it's just they're always going to have that setup. And again, this is what you get when you have GMs like this who, again, there's been no evidence to support that. It's like they're trying to be cheap, or they're trying to say, oh, well, if you have a bunch of pitchers, maybe you just need to eke out 2-3 runs. And it's like, well, I believe what they showed is if we had 4 runs in a game on average this season, the Pirates would have been a playoff team. All you need to do is score 4 runs, and the lineup that they have produced and they put on that field could not do that. Even like it was always like shutting out 2 runs, always, all the time. So what you have left is a season that's coming up that has the same kind of setup as they had last year. If they go out and acquire bats between now and February, that would be surprising. I mean, you just don't expect it. You just, as a Pirate fan, you're just like, well, they're just going to use what they have in the system. Hopefully it works. And I do hope that. I mean, as a Pirate fan, I want good things for this organization, regardless if they want it for themselves. We know what the fans have been wanting and needing. We had 3 years of playoffs in the last 20, 30 years, and it was a wonderful atmosphere. We won it back. So, and doing with Paul Skeens, it would just be so fitting. But things like Andrew McCutchen potentially is retiring. I didn't hear anything going on, but it sounds like he's moving on, and it's a darn shame. This is one of the brightest spots of the Pirates' history, and he's going to hopefully someday get the invitation to Cooperstown, and he'll go in as a Pirate, and he would be the representative of this generation, of this whole entire generation. You're talking 20, 25 years, and we just got one guy. It's just unfortunate. It really, truly is. But that's what you got to deal with. And again, I'm never giving this up on this team, even though this team tries not to get themselves in a place to win. This is just what loyalty is. You just show that you want these good things for them. So I know this is just a really big wall that you got to get around. Hopefully the players can find a way, but it's a long off season, guys. So buckle up. Hopefully we're going to hear some news within the next few months. Who knows? It's such a enigma, but that's my first pitch topic, guys. So let's move on to the MLB playoffs. Bring this up. There she is. So this has been the division round. We got the wild card in. There it is. Sorry about that. So the current, I was 4 for 4, guys. My predictions for the wild card, I got every single team right. I got the Dodgers, I had the Cubs, and I had the Yankees, and I had the Tigers. So let's just go right into this, guys. The division round for the 2025 MLB playoffs. Let's start with the Tigers and the Mariners. I'm right now recording this on a Monday night, and I know I'm a little late to the prediction with this round. It started on Saturday. With the Tigers and the Mariners, they're right now currently tied 1-1. Great game to start the series off, the overtime, and they got lucky. They got through it, the Tigers, and then it was Skubal taking on Castillo, and yeah, everything was going right for the Mariners, and they finally had a playoff win. I mean, that was really special. I very much appreciated when they showed a lot of the fans in Seattle. 24 years It's been 24 years since they've had a playoff win in Seattle. And yeah, like when it was 2013 for the Pirates, that was so darn special. That was something I'll never forget. Being in a sports bar with a lot of people that I had known for a while, all being Pirates fans, wanting that themselves. And just when it was over, yeah, it was the most surreal thing to know that I finally saw a playoff win, and I remember all the details and all the vividness of it all. Yeah, that's what makes baseball so special. It's just such a great memory sport. You look back and you just think some of the most fondest memories are of baseball, and the Mariners finally got that. So as much as this could be a back and forth series, I mean, again, I don't want to try to make any prediction with each game because I don't think they put the pitching lineup or the matchups before, so it could change, be different. But going off my gut, I would say that Seattle being at home, Tigers having the drought they've had, but again, Seattle's never been. So based off of that, folks, I'm going to say that the Seattle Mariners are going on to the championship series. I do like the Tigers a lot. I think it's a great story too. Either one, it would be awesome to see one of those two teams represent. But I just have that feeling about Seattle, guys. So let's move on to the Yankees and the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays they have made a statement. This has been one of the better stories in baseball with the AL. Everyone kept, saying, oh, the Yankees and the Red Sox are doing great things. And the Blue Jays have always been kind of in first the whole season. They've just been doing some solid work. Again, I can't really name all the players in the lineup, but, Vladdy's grand slam in the game the other night, that's everything you want for a team. Like he's been there for 6 years now, and he finally had his moment. You knew it was coming at some point, and to have it in the postseason, that's what it's been waiting for. Team like Toronto, who has not won a World Series since 1993, there's a lot of storylines where it's like either they haven't made it or it's been decades. So it's really cool to know that this potentially could be the year in which it all comes together for someone. And again, if that's the case, I'm kind of leaning towards the Blue Jays to win this series. I thought the Yankees would beat the Red Sox in the series, and I didn't know if it would go any further, but you look at these scores. I mean, it was like, 10-1 the first game and 13-7 the next. That is beat downs. And looks like the Toronto Blue Jays want to make even more of a statement, so I'm going to ride that and say they're going to go all the way to the ALCS, and it's going to be the Seattle Mariners and the Blue Jays. One team will make it for the first time ever, and one team will make it in 32 years. Either way, that would be a cool setup to whoever wins the ALCS. It'll be a long time or never happen. So let's move on to the National League. Let's do the Cubs and Brewers, and I'll do the Phillies and Dodgers last division. Guys, what more can we say about this? The situation where we have seen a playoffs in the wild card year where, again, Paul Skeens and all them have to once again go through the offseason in complete despair, knowing they can't ever make it, where teams like the Reds, the Cubs, and the Brewers all make the playoffs. This is kind of the bigger slap in the face than it can possibly be. And again, I have no ill will. I try to be respectful to my rivals and my fellow division teams. I think it's great that teams like the Reds can improve, but you look at us and it's like, why not? But why not? It's just unfortunate that we have the situation that we have, and these guys are constantly making the trips. And with this particular series, yeah, it's looking like the Cubs, they have a lot of momentum after that big series win against the Padres. That was a good series. And then you have the Brewers, who are, again, just so buttoned up. They're so professional, and they're so well coached and just have a great system. Everything about this team, my apologies, with the Brewers, it's just like their lineups are great. Their pitching just shows up. They find ways to win every which way, and that's a great culture to see. And it's nice to know that someone does it. But again, it's a team that if it was me playing them, I don't ever want them to win. And I just have that gut feeling. A team that has never made it, I think, all the way to the World Series. If they have, I think they've just made it. But again, my research and knowing my history, I don't think the Brewers have ever been to a World Series. And I think that's what's going to be the case. I think that the Brewers are going to advance and they're going to go to the NLCS. And with that, you go into the Dodgers and the Phillies. Wow. I mean, these two games. I mean, listen, I have Philly cousins. And again, I don't take pleasure in watching the playoffs and say that, like, well, these guys don't deserve something. But seeing these games against the Dodgers, wow. I that's gut punching. It's a real right in there in the chest and right there in the middle of that belly. It's just that first game being up 3-0 and then the 2 home runs, just eliminating it all. And then it goes game 1. And then both games in Philly too. The crowd has nothing to go off of with the energy. And it was a heck of a pitching match just this evening with Blake Snell and who was it? Jesus Luzardo. Oh my goodness, guys. I think the game was like an hour into it and it was already the 6th inning because their pitching was just insane. I think Snell had 8 strikeouts and Luzardo had 5 or 6. Like, it was just up, 3 down. I mean, it was crazy how fast this game was going. And then again, like clockwork with the Phillies, I know the patterns of certain teams, and that team's pattern, once you get to the 6th inning, I mean, it just becomes this, like, your whole, the whole fan base is just sitting there going, we know what's coming. 1 through 5, you're fine. 6 through 9, it's just like it goes all away. And that's exactly what occurred. The team came alive, I believe. And I think Shohei got it going. I think he had the single. And then I want to say Freeman had a good hit. I know he got on base. I don't know if that was – I don't know how. The sequence, I know. I just remember seeing it was 4-0 at one point. Then the Phillies had the 1 run in the 8th. And then, of course, in the 9th, that was just so heartbreaking. Again, I've seen many games where you're fighting and you're clawing and you're doing everything you possibly can. With 2 outs, guys in the corner, and I think it was Turner who was up. He hit that ball right by the pitcher, past the pitcher, and it went to second base. Guy got a decent read on it. He got up, threw it down to first, and it bounced off the ground. And Freddie Freeman, just the freak he is, so he's just absolutely incredible, makes the pick while going down to get it. Like, he went down to his knees and measured that thing and still had his foot on the bag to get the final out. I mean, that's just insane. Yeah, you can't really drum it up any in terms of a ball game. It's like, that's what baseball is. This back and forth, the adrenaline's in there. And if it's the away crowd that wins, it was hushed. It was as quiet as it can pretty much get. Yeah. The Phillies have not been at a World Series since 2010. I know they lost their World Series game with the Yankees, and I think the closest they got to it was just 2 years ago when they took on Arizona, and that it was pretty incredible how that went down too. Oh no, they made the World Series in 2022 against the Astros. Yeah, it's definitely a tough sport if you're wanting to be a winner. Everyone who watches baseball knows that's the whole entire stretch of it. But yeah, I did predict the Phillies to win this series, but down 2-0 going into Los Angeles, you would have to win out. And yeah, that might be the one I get wrong. So I guess I originally had the Phillies, but it sounds like it's going to be the Dodgers taking on the Brewers. What a series that will be too. But yeah, so there it is, guys. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. I try my darndest to come up with the right topics. I try my darndest to keep it informed and enjoyable. And next time, it'll be in a week from now. Hopefully that they'll have a couple things to bring up. I mean, I think I can go through the lineups and see what position needs the most addressing and all that. So I'll think of stuff. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And until next time, guys, let's go Bucks.